Hey, everyone, and welcome to the DealMachine Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host today, Ryan Haywood. A little bit about me. I've been wholesaling since 2019. I did a 30-day wholesaling challenge. I went on to do 73 wholesale transactions in my first year. And since then, we've done over 450 transactions. We have a real estate portfolio of 63 units altogether. And today, I've got a very special guest for our listeners. You've heard his name a few times as we have been in the transition in our company of bringing in a COO. And today I would like to introduce everyone to the COO of Heritage Home Investments, Clint Keith. Everybody, a round of applause. I don't know if people
Thank
clap
you.
or not,
Thank
but
you.
when they're listening, maybe you clap. I don't know.
We'll,
Anyhow,
we'll pretend they
we've
are.
brought Clint in. This would have been now coming up on the year mark. And Clint's experience coming from no wholesaling experience to now running a wholesaling team, I thought, how appropriate would it be to bring him in and get from his vantage point a little bit about wholesaling? So, Clint, tell us how your first experience in wholesaling. I don't know that you can necessarily remember like the first deal that you were involved in, but maybe you can. Tell us a little bit about your experience so far, the year, not necessarily running the business, but your vantage point of the wholesaling business.
Yeah, absolutely. So I came into wholesaling with, like you said, kind of a limited experience. I had spent a decent amount of time with you kind of leading up to that, and then we just jumped in and tried to figure it out. And so, um, one thing that I learned very quickly is that, every single deal, no matter how good or no matter how bad it looks, it still goes through the same process of analyzing the deal. You need to understand the motives behind why they are selling. It's not about just what area is the house in, what condition is it in, or just about the price. You just have to, I just learned very quickly, you need to analyze all of those together, and all of those three need to match up. And when they do match up, you need to figure out how to get the deal done. So
Yeah.
I would say, in a nutshell, that's just kind of from um, running around with you for a couple months trying to figure out, is this what we want to do? Seeing that behind the scenes and saying, yeah, this looks like a lot of fun. Let's do this. Let's partner up and let's go. So that would be, I would say, the initial from the first houses that I was a part of on the wholesaling deal is just understand how to analyze the deal, and then if it's a good deal, just get it done.
Try to take yourself back to like the very first houses that we would walk through, this being your introduction to the wholesaling world. Was there any moment walking through some of these houses that you thought, what on earth are we looking at?
Yes, yes, many of those. No, um, I mean, I do remember distinctively asking you the question, like, how many houses did you have to walk through before you weren't just intimidated by seeing
Mm,
them? And I remember you told me 10, which I thought was really low. But then after going through about 10 houses, it's kind of like, yeah, this is what distressed properties look like.
yeah.
And people, it's interesting what that gap looks like between people who have not gone through them before and people who have gone through 10 or more before. It is a distinctive gap. Like, I'm sure, as you experienced the first time you bought a house, same with me, the people who go through it the first time, whether it's family or friends or whatnot, they kind of think you're crazy.
Yeah.
But you just have to experience it. You have to understand it. You have to become an expert in what it is that you're looking for and what it is that you're not looking for, like what you should and shouldn't be scared of. Um, and just, yeah, just like as you would with any field, you have to become an expert in that field to really be good at it. So it doesn't mean
Yeah.
that you're good at it after going through 10 properties. It just means you're a little less
You're familiar.
intimidated after going through it. So I would say those first deals, yeah, there was definitely oh my gosh, who's going to buy? How am I going to convince someone else to buy this property remotely? That was probably a
Yeah.
big thing. And probably a lot of wholesalers think that same thing is, okay, I can understand. I've walked distressed properties all the time. But how am I going to convince someone who lives in another state, another city, etc., that this is the right property for them, when clearly when they see the pictures of this, they're going to see a distressed property and it's going to be scary. What am I seeing? What am I not seeing behind the pictures? So just understanding that, I would say that was another learning lesson early on, is understanding like, okay, what is someone going to see in this picture and think, what am I not seeing that the picture's not showing? Because those are the reasons they're not going to buy from you, is those
Yeah.
fears of what they're not seeing. So being able to like summarize that, whether through words, through pictures, through rehab bids, etc., and really help be their eyes, um, that helped those deals become a little less intimidating the more I went through.
Yeah. What's the most disgusting thing you've ever seen when you're walking through one of these wholesale properties?
It was actually a property of my own that I purchased, and it was just the amount of um, dog feces and just the overwhelming
I
smell.
remember this house.
That was the only house that I could only stay in for about 30 to 45 seconds before literally gagging. I mean, there's been some bad houses and there's been some stinky houses, but even the contractor, one of our contractors, the one that I frequently use, even I know he's seen a lot of things too, and that was a similar thing. We were in there for about 30 seconds and he just darts out the door like about ready to barf. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I luckily did not go in that house, but I seen the pictures and I knew, in fact, I can smell, just seeing the picture, I can actually smell what that smells like just from being in it enough. But it is initially, it's intimidating, and that's like a lot of times people in the wholesaling business, they aren't with, especially you're getting started, you're looking for distressed properties. That's what you're wanting to find. You want to find the houses that look the worst. So a lot of times you go in there, you don't know what you're walking into, and then you get inside and it's like, this thing smells disgusting. This thing needs so much work. I would almost venture to bet that a lot of people walk away from those deals when the reality is those are the deals that you want. In fact, I think sometimes the worse it smells, or the more feces that are in the property, the better the deal. So I think, because what that gives is it's giving you an opportunity to buy the property at a better price. And granted, you do want to know, like, why are you wanting to sell the property? But at the end of the day, if it's a really distressed property, that's why they want to get. They don't want the headache of that distressed property being on them every single day. It's going to be something they think about every day. And just being able to get that off of your plate, to me, is enough of a reason to want to sell, that I can feel comfortable like, hey, let's talk price, because you see it, I see it. There's a lot of work that needs to be done here. And so I do want to know, I want you to talk, if you feel comfortable giving us details about that first deal, because not only were you coming in and like running a wholesaling business, you also became an investor just slightly before you started working for us. Like, I think you had one deal under your belt as a flip, and was this the second one that you did?
Correct. Hmm.
All right, so tell us, give us, from your vantage point as a buyer, tell us what you were thinking, tell us your feelings, and then tell us the results of the deal.
Yeah. Earlier, I want to go back to a comment you mentioned earlier about sometimes the stinkier, the more money. I I think you jokingly said once that you in one of these houses, you're like, that's the smell of money. That's the,
Yeah.
because like you said, oftentimes the
Yes.
smellier, the more the discounted the price. And smell is one of those things that it's not like it's expensive to get it to go away, but that is a common thing in most people's mind, of if they can hardly stand the smell, the price often drops quickly. But in
Yeah.
reality, so like what I was analyzing is, what is it going to cost to get all of the junk and crap just out of the house? What's it going to cost to replace the subfloors? What's it going to cost to bleach the walls and the ceilings? Because at that point, okay, is that $10,000? So take the price of that house. Would I want this house if it had zero smell and zero junk for that price? And absolutely anyone would have. Like
Mhm.
if it would have been painted that clear. And so like you said, we were talking about, you look at the big things. And I remember one of our teammates who first looked at the house and he said, this is the best worst house that I've seen in a while. And that really caught my
Mm-hmm.
attention. Like, what do you mean best worst house? I'm like, well, you have these, like, walking through it, you can hardly stand to be in it, but it has a nice garage. It has a nice detached garage. It has the foundation looks fine. The roof looks fine. The gutters look fine. The window, all these like huge ticket items look fine. But it's just a disgusting property. And so it's like, okay, well, cleaning up is a lot cheaper than putting on a new roof, new windows, new siding, new garage, and so
Mm-hmm.
going into it through that lens of, okay, let's start with a blank canvas. Yeah, it's $10,000 to start with a blank canvas, but oh my gosh, then I'm $50,000 in, and then I'm just talking about, paint and new bathroom and some new kitchen appliances and different things. And so, yeah, I spent $40,000. I don't know if it's okay to share numbers on here, but
Yeah.
um,
Share everything.
yeah, I mean, it was about 400 or 40,000 to get the house. We spent about 40,000 again to clean it all up and to get it new and shined up. And so we're about 80,000 all in, and then it sells for like 140. And we had to do a
Nice.
few things on the tail end to fix a few other things, so it looked more like 130 once the dust settled, but it was just a huge win. So net just a little south of $50,000 on a house that most people wouldn't want to touch. And so it was a
Were
great
you shocked by
experience.
that? Was that a shock factor? Like, oh my gosh, we just made nearly $50,000 on a house that was full of dog poop when we got it.
It was a shock factor. I did not see it. I knew it would be a good investment. I did not foresee it being that profitable. So
Yeah.
I was super pumped.
Now, it, so you've done two. Your version of real estate investing is flips. At least that's what you found the success in. I'm even jealous of it and have ventured down that path with your guidance. You've only done two deals though, and those two deals, like, did those two deals make you enough money that you felt pretty comfortable? Like, okay, I don't need to be chained to a 9 to 5. Did you feel out of doing those two deals, you felt like you could walk away from the corporate world and not look back?
Yeah. When I first started, I didn't go in with the goal of investing as being to replace a W-2. I know a lot of people
Mhm.
do, and that's totally fine. Mine was more so, hey, I want to supplement the W-2. I kind of like the W-2.
Yeah.
I just want to supplement it. And then I did the first flip project, started talking with you more and started learning more about it. And it was like, okay, now I do want to replace the W-2. My mindset
Yeah.
has changed. This is a lot of fun. And so I think that project that I just described was one of the first ones after making the leap. That was one of the first ones I had experienced. And I think it was just a really, I'm a pretty conservative person and trying to make safe decisions. So to make the leap and then have that win pretty immediately was nice. It was just a kind of reassurance from my end of like, okay, I know everyone won't come out with numbers like this, but I think there's a pattern. The first one went really well in 2023, and then the first one in 2024 went well. So it was just a reassurance of like, okay, I want to keep doing this. And so this year, I've done in 2024 alone, done five total flip projects, and we're getting ready to purchase house number six this coming week. And a
Can
couple
you
of those
give
were
us
partners,
a
but
ballpark on your first two deals? What did you make in your first two deals?
the first one was around 45, and then that second one that we just talked about was around 49.
So just shy of $100,000 in two deals. And how long did those approximately take you?
Yeah, from beginning, I mean, from purchase date to sell date, the first one was 4 months. The second one was 3 months.
So and you did those. So in 7 months, you made dang near $100,000 in 7 months, and a lot of times that's like an entire year's worth of income for someone. And you did that in 7 months with two transactions, and no like entry level. no coaching to get started. It was just like, this is what you're gonna do, and have success with that. What does your life look like now? What has real estate afforded you now? Now I know that you are still kind of working in a 9 to 5, but it's a little bit different. I feel like usually people are like, man, because of real estate, I know I'm a great example of that. Yes, I still do some work, but I can I have the freedom and flexibility to do stuff with my family anytime. What does your life look like now that you wouldn't have had working in a 9 to 5 world?
Yeah, good question. It is. uh, I think entrepreneurship in general is just that full control of your success and your failures, as well as your free time. And so, even though when you're in a W-2, you have some control of your success, you have some control of your failures, you have some control of your free time, but as an entrepreneur, it's pretty much full-fledged. So even the role as COO with Heritage Home Investments, it is still um, just because it feels like I just approach it like I own the place too. Just like we talked about that at the beginning. Like, what is the role of a COO? It's just act like you own, make every decision like you own the place, like that you're trying
Yeah.
to make the best decision for the company that you can. And so we're trying to work, whether it's working with Heritage on the wholesale side, whether it's working on my flip side, it's knowing the amount of involvement I want to put in to net the certain return that helps uh, pay my bills, helps put money in the savings account, stash away for kids' call, do all those things. But then it also allows time to where I can say, you know what? Hey, I'm going to stop working for the day and I'm going to go recharge my batteries by playing golf. I'm going to go play tennis with my kids and I'm not going to worry about having an inbox that has 100 emails from a corporate job that are going to be there every single night, no matter how many I do. And so
Yeah.
that was one that has been the biggest. That has been one of the biggest blessings of it. Has been easier to turn it on and turn it off. And whenever it's turning it off, it's just being there for the family, enjoying the family, and then just when I'm ready to turn it back on, just turn it back on.
Yeah. What for someone that's coming into the world of possibly doing, whether it's wholesale or flips, what would you tell them in getting started? What advice would you give to them?
Yeah, I would say it's not hard, but it's not easy. So I very much want to say I was very fortunate that those two first projects ended as profitable as they do. And not everyone
Mhm.
coming in is going to make $100,000 on their first two projects. So I at the beginning I read a lot of books. I listened to a lot of podcasts. I was very diligent with meeting with people who had had success, not just like random people that were like maybe realtors or things like that, but like
Yeah.
I met with you before you and I really knew each other that well. I knew that you were successful in real estate investing. So we set up a coffee and we talked for an hour and a half, and I just pinged you with 100 questions. I did the same with a few other realtor or real estate investors, and so I really doing a lot of information gathering and research prior, but then still like not stopping really with that. So
Yeah.
that is what I would encourage people to find a mentor. I'd encourage people to ask questions to those who have been there before. Read the books, listen to the podcasts, sharpen your skills, and then just like do it. Don't just read books forever, but then to get
Yeah.
in there and do it and have a good support team around you. Whether it's a mentor, if you don't know a mentor, that's one area that it is worth paying for a mentor. I would say,
Mhm.
because going into something blind, had I not had mentors, I don't think I would have been successful or as successful. I mean, I just remember texting you, Jacob, a lot of people throughout, even the first flip project. Hey, I just encountered this issue. What would you do? Hey, I just,
Mhm.
this came up. What would you do? And so that's super, oh my gosh, that's super valuable in those first few projects. I think I still do it
Yeah.
with
I
projects.
always like to say real estate is for anyone, but not for everyone. Like anyone can wholesale, anyone can do a flip. I think flips are hard especially if you're just getting started. Flips are hard because it's like most people don't have access to a contractor that's got the ability to get the whole project done for you. I think that that's a challenge that, if you're just getting started, I personally always say, hey, start with wholesaling because it's going to give you an introduction to what these houses look like. It's going to give you an introduction on like running some numbers, becoming familiar with running rehab numbers. And it's going to give you some example of what other people are buying these properties for so that when you become to a point where you're ready to invest for yourself, which I strongly encourage as well, you are a little bit more knowledgeable. So, to your point, finding somebody that can help you walk through that process or just being involved in doing wholesale, going on appointments, making offers, running numbers, those things, those practices set you up for success and are going to help you grow into a successful real estate investor just like yourself. So, Clint, thank you for jumping on today. I would say, hopefully, you're not in trouble with your employer, that they're not mad that you took 20 minutes off to be on a podcast. But super thankful to have you on our team running our business, but very happy that you're having the success that you're having in real estate and wish you all several more deals. Be great if you did about 100 in the next year. So um, thank you everyone for listening. I hope that you found this uh, informational. I hope you got something from this. Feel free to reach out to Clint. Clint, do you have any social media or anything that people could find you on?
Yeah, Instagram, Clint Keith 5 is Instagram, and also LinkedIn. I'm a big fan of LinkedIn as well. So just Clint Keith, connecting through that as well.
There you go. All right. I appreciate it. And we will talk again soon, very soon.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks for listening to the DealMachine Real Estate Investing Podcast. Please leave us a review and follow along wherever you're listening to your podcast.